Well, as you know, a lot of you have gotten messages from me through Facebook at 2 in the morning. I've been going through a lot of old photos from the old Doug's Dirt Diary days. And the nice thing with that is it's reminding me of all the friends I had that I haven't talked to in a while. And one of those guys is on the phone with me right now. If you were out at Ransomville Speedway, you knew this guy for a couple different reasons on the track and also up in the tower. Jipp Ortiz not only raced stock cars in the 90s, but he also took a little time off and got behind the scenes, flag there, Lancaster, some places like that. Got back into racing in a Sportsman up until 2012. That's the picture you're seeing right there is him from a race. I believe that was at Rolling Wheels Raceway. So let's find out what's going on with Jipp Ortiz. Let's head out to Ransomville. He's 62 years old. He's a year older than me, so he went to high school back in the 70s. Of course, his dad, Eddie Ortiz, a legend in the sport. By the way, Jipp was just inducted into the Four Score Hall of Fame just a couple of weeks ago. Jipp, we just talked for over an hour on the phone before I hit record. How you doing?
Great, man, great. It's always tough. I start talking and memories just kind of roll through your brain, and it's just so fun to talk about them.
It really is, because, Jipp and I, we primarily see each other at Rolling Wheels and Syracuse, and, of course, this week on Dirt, we got to Ransomville, so I saw him out there. One story I want to get to before we get to how you're doing today was your very first time in the car. Tell me how that happened.
My little brother had a car, and a street stock, and he couldn't weld a lick. He couldn't hardly work on anything. So I'd help him out. I was running the shop, and I'd help him a little bit here and there. But I didn't have much time to dedicate. I'm trying to scratch a living out. He went to his prom. The car was just sitting there. I had the wrecker. I'm going down to anyway to the track. So I grabbed onto the car. I took it down. Ran like my first street stock race, and the first time I drove the car, I won, and it was like that was probably the worst thing that could ever happen to me.
So you just put it on the back of the tow truck and towed it in?
Yeah, I towed it down, hooked on with a tow truck because he didn't have a trailer or nothing. I towed it down to the track, unhooked it, and one of my buddies went out and hauled the tow truck and ran that for me, and I raced, and I don't know, I'm not sure how I got lucky enough or whatever, but I won the race, and that was kind of the beginning of the end for me when it come to racing. I kind of thought, well, maybe I do have a little Ortiz blood in me. Maybe I better give this a try. I don't know if my wife thought it was the greatest idea in the world, but It worked out.
What did your brother say?
He just laughed.
Okay, so he was cool with it. Okay.
He was just doing it to have fun. He knew I was going to take it. I told him I was going to take it.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't unexpected.
And yeah, it was expected by him, not so much me. I was expected to win. That's for doggone sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go around the track. I'd never been. It was funny when I first went out for high laps. I thought to myself, "You can't go any faster than this. This car. Things are happening so fast because, things are going by. The grandstand's going by and the mud's hitting you, and you're like, wow, this is crazy, man."
Yeah.
And by the end of the feature, I'm like, well, this ain't so bad, because you kind of used to it,
And that changed your life and caused you to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of man hours of your life after that too, right?
Yeah. But look what I got for it, dog. Look what I got. I got to meet guys like you and some people listening to this podcast or this YouTube video. It's I tell you, some of the best people I've ever met. I've met at a racetrack. So I remember. Remember at Canandaigua with this old couple would come down every Saturday night. They'd come to my car. I would make sure that I got back to my car after the mod race, because I'd go sit in the stands, just so I could see them. And they would come up every week, and they'd reminisce about old racing and my dad, and they just loved it. So them are things that you just cherish. Makes racing worthwhile. Cam Gallardi, guy who used to race with my dad when he retired, and he'd come in the shop because he'd go to Ransomville to watch. He'd come right by the shop every Friday afternoon. He'd stop and see me every Friday, and he'd just want to talk for 5 or 10 minutes. And he always was just very gentle and a very nice guy, and always was very warm. Well, when he passed, I didn't even know this was the deal. He passed. His wife packaged up a couple of his trophies, like a couple championship-style trophies, and she wrote me a really nice letter saying how much he enjoyed watching me race and how it brought back so many memories. He was living life through me, and all these very, very sweet, very, very sentimental, very warm, it was just very nice. And them are things that, even when you're fighting on the track and you're scratching for every spot, and I kind of raced every lap like it was my last lap. Guys say, "Man, it's a heat race. What are you racing so hard for?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm driving a race car."
Yeah, I'm doing what I want to do.
Right? I mean, that's kind of And if I was third, I wanted to be second. And if I was second, I wanted to be first. And every lap was like, you just wanted to do better. And so in the moment, I'm sure some people didn't like me, and but after a while, Jason Rood one time we went to Fulton, and he just looked at me as like the points leader, like championship guy, whatever. I don't know what it was at the time. I was just Jipp. I just wasn't anything more than that, but he didn't know me, and I was just walking around the pits, and he was working on his car, and I just sat down on a tire and said, "Hey, my name's Jipp Ortiz. How you doing?" We talked for about 15 minutes.
Wow. And
he told me, "So I never realized you were a nice guy." And I'm like, "Well, I am. I try really hard to be the nice guy. I know when you're racing, and it's fierce, intense competition, sometimes you don't look that way, but man, now I look back and I have really, really fond memories of what happened."
One thing that I didn't know that you did that I found out from when we talked, I didn't know you were that good at building race cars. You actually sold race cars to other people who did well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did. One of my, I was some of my proudest accomplishments, to be honest with you, because it was a part of my artistic side, and it was a part of when other guys would walk by my car and they would be looking at it. I knew they were impressed with what we were doing, how good, fast the car was, how well it.
So you're a better welder than your brother, huh?
Yeah. I started building them for other guys. I remember I was always a really good little welder. When I was like 12, I remember my dad was driving an asphalt car at Lancaster, and they needed to make the pitman arm longer. Remember, I'm just a little guy, okay? I was just a little goofball kid. And we're standing in the shop, and my dad says, "Hey, go cut that pitman arm off that, weld the end on it, an inch and a half longer pitman arm, weld it on the end of it."
Okay.
And the other guys are like, "What? You're going to let him weld on a pitman arm?" And he said, "Don't worry about it. He'll do just fine." And I went over and I cut it off, and I welded it all together and brought it back, and them guys were all like, "Holy cow, look at that." And Dad says, "I told you, he'll do just fine. Leave him alone." And it was just one of them deals where that was my knack. So building cars was a very proud part of what I did. I really enjoyed it. I met great people. I could tell you stories for hours, which I won't, but of maybe in the future we can talk more a bit about that. But it was
I got to come out to your shop sometime. We'll show them some stuff or something. Maybe go through some old pictures.
Yeah, it was really, really, really a good time back in that part of my life to do that. It was really fun.
And another thing that he did that, again, I didn't know you did this either, because I only saw you maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year or something. I remember I saw you on the Pro Stock Tour. I'd see you at Syracuse, Rolling Wheels, places like that. But I didn't know you went to the other side and actually flagged for a while. Yeah.
When Alex passed, rest his soul, in 96, 95, 96, Jamie Friesen had to take over Lancaster because Alex was the man there. He was the man at Fulton, and so I went down and I flagged for him one night at Fulton. Stan asked me to go down there and I'll fill in. They were trying to just pick up all the loose ends of Alex's life, trying to get everything in place. So I got to go work for Jamie up there. Got thrown right into the fire. I got some hilarious stories I could tell you sometime about asphalt guys and being a rookie starter.
Yeah, he told me this one too. So we're gonna get back with Jipp down the road and just examine all these specific things. And yeah, there's some pretty good flagging stories that he has there. Only about a minute left, Jipp.
Yep.
So what did you learn from that, or did you?
Oh, I always thought that you could be from a racer with a lot of passion and hearing all the stories. I used to tell guys that I learned more riding in the back of the car going to races with my dad than you learn a lot. You just hear him talking about racing and strategy and blah, blah, blah. You just learn. And I just thought it was normal. I thought every kid lived like that. I didn't know. I didn't realize that there was, it's hard to have 100 people around your car every night at Rolling Wheels. And I'm a kid on the ground with Matchbox cars, and these guys are all like, they all think that my dad's a saint, and I just thought he was Dad. I didn't know how hard it was.
Yeah, that's what you knew. Your dad won a lot of races, and he was well known, and I'm sure that was quite a background to grow up in. But we are out of time, Jipp, already. It's amazing how fast the 10 minutes goes. So I've got Jipp's number. I got some other pictures of him, too, so we'll put those up as we go here. But we're going to do some more with Jipp here over the next few months. We'll get into a part where we talk more about his early career, about building cars, and about flagging. Jipp, I enjoyed this. You take care of yourself. Thank you, sir.
It's you, too. Thanks a lot, Doug. Bye-bye now.
Hit the blue E, subscribe, turn on the notifications, leave some comments. You got some suggestions, get them to me, and I'll make sure I get them done for you.